Hello, everybody, and welcome to another GRAPPL Live here on the GRAPPL YouTube. I say another one. It feels like it's been a while since the last one. Obviously, I had JP on last week, and it was more of a spotlight / live mix-up type show. But yeah, it's a busy week this week, so we're doing daily shows. Spotlight was yesterday with me and Matty. Hopefully well received. I'll be talking some of the feedback on that a little bit later on. Obviously got Gareth joining me momentarily here for the live, and we'll have JP back in the hot seat for the weekend show tomorrow. But there'll be a few little bonus things coming as well. Keep an eye on the YouTube. Set your notifications on. There might be a couple of videos I could potentially preview at the end of this coming as well. So yeah, if you're missing Matty, which I can't imagine you would be after yesterday, yeah, you might even get some bonus Matty content covered as well. I've also set up a poll. There's a poll running in the background. I think I know the answer, but essentially the question is, what's the better pay-per-view coming up this weekend? Or should have done PLA. I should have been fair with it, but let's say what's the better show coming up this weekend based on the cards that we've got. I imagine All Out's going to win by a landslide, but maybe there's a few WrestlePalooza fans in there as well. But let us know what your thoughts on it. But yeah, good to see everybody in the chat there. Good to see Platt there. Good to see you and knocking around there as well. But like I say, it's a very busy week. We've got a lot going on. So like I say, I'll save the preamble for the end of the show. We'll see how we're getting on. I have been suffering, like I mentioned yesterday, with the tie leggy. So we'll see how much time we can do at the end. I said that last time. We ended up running about half an hour. So I'll try and make some time at the end. Good to see Rami in there as well. Yeah, it is a Champions League night. Did notice that with Spotlight yesterday as well. Might explain JP's whereabouts yesterday as well. So we got hot competition. So we'll keep it moving quickly, and I can see him in the backstage area. So we'll bring him on, joining me for this GRAPPL Live. Like I say, we got a GRAPPL person in each corner, like WrestleMania 2000. Wednesday's man is our Gareth, or our Gaza, as I put him on the Patreon Discord. Hello, Gareth. How's it going?
Is this after all of years ago you coined the GRAPPL Gareth name? Are you now shifting and you're trying to coin the Gaza name?
Do you know where I got that from? It's your Sadie. There was a point where I think she did a run-in on one of the shows, and she called you our Gaza, and it's just stuff now. And that's what we're going with. You're our Gaza, not the other Gaza. You're GRAPPL's Gaza, GRAPPL Gaza maybe. I did see a coffee shop today actually when I was walking around. I meant to put the picture on my Instagram. It was called Graph Copy, but the logo is exactly like the GRAPPL one. It's like a square, and obviously starts with Grap. I was wondering whether we'd started the franchise out here or something like that. Could be money in that. So yeah, Graph Gaza. That's what we'll call you.
Copyright infringement.
Unbelievable, eh?
It's one of my claims to fame. Bobby Charlton called me Gaza once. I was at the Bobby Charlton soccer school, and he was watching at the side, and I dribbled past 3 people or 4 people, and as a little dumpy 11-year-old, he went, "Whoa, Gaza!" And I was like, "Yes, Bobby Charlton called me Gaza."
Did he know your name was Gareth, or did he just think you played like Gaza and that was it?
No, it was just a Gascoigne-esque run. That's my claim to fame, anyway.
We've been saying this for a while, don't you think? We should do some kind of 5-a-side game. We should play What Culture or something, or pay like some other podcast out there. We'll see what we've got. I believe Matty's pretty good at footy. I don't know about JP. I can imagine he was handy in his day. I've always said it before. My whole family were great. My dad had trials with Everton. Peter's brilliant. My cousins are all brilliant. One of my cousins was like semi-professional and was like a football coach in America. I'm definitely the worst of our family, but I think I'm okay still. I think I'm all right. So I could do you the job, maybe defensive midfielder if we need it. We could bring in some Ogdens as ringers. I feel like we could get a full squad together there.
I was going to say you must have something in your genes. You must have a bit going in your genes. I'm a bit scared to play with Matty. I don't know. It sounds like when he talks about it, like his 5-a-side, sounds a bit serious, doesn't it? It sounds a bit too many arguments going on and things like that. Like exactly. I went to play once with like 5-a-side with a mate of mine, and like I only did it once because I went, and it was like lads who played like decent level, like non-league and stuff like that, and you give them the ball away and they're like shouting at you, and I was like, I'm here for a bit of fun. Like I just wanted, I wanted to try and play that pass, and okay, it didn't come off. Oh well, lads, so we conceded a goal. We haven't lost the Premier League, have we? Like just a Tuesday night fucking kickabout.
I think I asked at one point, could Matty play with his mates and that about like playing, and it was just like the sound of it. It sounded like that. Don't you think as well? Like maybe you've noticed this is like obviously an outsider who moved to Liverpool and became an insider. Everyone just gets that little bit more scouse and just that little bit more intimidating. Like I remember playing with my dad and that once. It was like, that is not your accent. What's this accent you're putting on here? Getting all angry, getting pulling out his like his L's and his R's and all the words he's saying there. It's terrifying. I just did it then. It's fucking terrifying. It is.
Gotta get that intimidation going, don't you? But I just laugh because obviously I played rugby league.
And but maybe that's why there's so many good Scouse footballers, because there's a lot of them, isn't there? You know, just that like a lot of like it feels like a lot of the non-leagues are just full of like Scousers who didn't make it to like the Premier League, but like all the semi-professionals seem to be like from our area.
Yeah, they all think they should have been think they should have been pros, but like saying there, like because I played rugby league, like to me it'd be like you get these little 5'7" shouty Scousers trying to be little hard knocks playing football, and you're like, come on, like you know, it's a slight kick to the leg or something like that, like fucking, like come on.
There you go. Rami says here, bring Steffo James in. I don't know if he's still talking about the football here. I'm a bit behind on the chat. We need someone to bring me the elitist down to earth. Maybe that's what he means. Grapple Gaza are in China. Ewan says, coming soon to the Patreon. Yeah, we could do that. Andy Ogden there in the chat saying, not a chance with his bad knees. And Jeff Scammy like, oh, okay. Maybe they could be our like they could be on the like I was gonna say they'd be our managers, but they'd probably be better off, wouldn't they? We'll have them in the crowd coming up with chants and stuff like that for us. We'd just be morale, wouldn't they? I don't think whoever we played, whatever other podcast we played against, they wouldn't have the songs that we'd have they couldn't even get themselves some budget Ogdens. We'd have the real thing.
Maybe this is the thing. Maybe no live show for the Wembley weekend. Maybe we just do podcast five-a-side tournament.
Podcasters versus wrestlers. How about that? Do you reckon there's any Brit Res guys that do it? Like if Andy Ogden says he's got bad knees, imagine what the Brit Res guys have got. You know, we could tactically work it out. Look at like the cage match histories. Look at their injury histories. See who we could target. I think it could work. They'd all be half our age, but I think we could do it.
Wouldn't work for you. Can you imagine half a fucking Brit Res getting a chance to play against you?
That'd be the draw, wouldn't it?
The fucking stray elbows you'd be catching, and
I'd turn up with like a helmet, like shin pads all over my entire body, like full uniform. I think I fucking have to. Jesus Christ. Good point. I should be.
On that note, maybe we should play podcasters versus wrestling promoters. Actually, that might bring out some of the old rugby league instincts there. Maybe if we were certain opponents.
Plus, they're older and a bit more portly, so I think even we'd have them beat from a conditioning point of view. I've seen you in the middle of COVID running marathons and stuff on the beach. I know you've still got it in you, mate. So maybe we could outlast them. We could always run away.
I'm trying to get to them back to them levels when you saw me Ultimate Warrioring down the beach after that PB.
I apologise, but hey, I was trying to be social, mate. That's all it was. But no, boss, to have you on, mate. Obviously, we're here to obviously talk to WrestlePalooza yesterday, mate. That was that's the big show of the week. Obviously with all of the
what was that, a flashback?
Fantastic 5 matches that are. Yeah, I know, honestly. Even see the interview with Punk today. He said something along the lines of, "I've been refusing to call it WrestlePalooza on television, just because the name's that bad." It's like, okay, he's still got a little bit of Punk in him. I appreciate that, fighting the small battles, but. We're fighting some battles out there, but I did tease it before. We have actually got a bit of a preview coming from Matty on the YouTube. I'm going to be doing a separate one for all this predictions, just a quick little video for people to have. So he did utter the words in there that he thinks it could be the show of the weekend. But I think I know your answer to the poll that we've got running tonight.
Yeah, I'm literally opening Cage Match up in the background now to find out what's even happening at WrestlePalooza.
Could you guess one before you say? Any guesses? What's on the show?
Well, that fucking cunt Brock Lesnar's going to be on the show, isn't he? I'm assuming.
There is that. Yep, that's one.
I know that. I'm guessing that Punk and AJ must be going against Seth Rollins and what you call it, Becky Lynch.
Just a full card there. Yeah, you're basically 50% there. Well done. Doing well. Give me one more. Could you give me one more? Is it possible?
Fuck knows. I don't know. Some bloodline combination. Jimmy versus Jay versus Solo versus Hikuleo or something like that. You know, loser stares at their hands for an hour.
Jimmy and Jay versus the two Bronnies, which we've actually had a civil war going on today with people trying to claim credit for it. I can't remember who said it in the chat yesterday. I'm pretty sure it was Simon. Paul on the Discord pointing out. I'm going to go to the feedback later. That he put a meme on there. We had our friend Ian on Twitter, BME, but a link to a tweet he'd done a couple of months ago with the two Bronnies. It's just too good. It works too well. And that's what they should officially be called. So yeah, there's a match. The two Bronnies versus Jimmy and Jay. And there's drama, Gareth, of whether the Usos are going to turn on each other or whether Jay's going to become a heel, which he's definitely not, because even they're not going to turn down the money for those Yeet sunglasses, are they? So yeah,
I remember somebody putting that in the group chat about that, like they were teasing the heel turn of Jey Uso or something, and I was just, people were thinking it was going to go that way. And it's like, well, he can't do a promo, he can't work. All he can do is move his arms up and down in time to that music. So, like, what, you're going to take the only thing away from him that he's got going? Like, fuck, like, why would you do that?
It'd be like Bryan Danielson when they gave him the no chance instead. I know what the opposite of Yeet would be. Yeeting for heat. I can't see it working. And the Ogden saying here, he's dropped £18 on AEW on YouTube to watch. I believe the price has gone down on YouTube and Amazon. I don't know if you're interested in going other routes there. This weekend, I think there's a two for one package on there. I think you can get All Out and what's the next one? Wrestle Dream together for the package there as well. I believe Amazon's better quality. It's just a slight delay. I think when you try and watch it, you refuse. Or maybe they're ahead. I can't remember because there's that. We have that Andy Ogden problem on the Discord where you have to kind of keep the Discord like minimized, and then when the match finishes, then open it up and you see like 2 minutes earlier whoever it is who's ahead, spoiling the finish, which is pretty much what I do with the 3 p.m. games now. If I'm watching Everton in my living room, I just wait for the goal to go in and then I look at the chat to see if Andy's reported it yet with his mega satellite.
It's on Triller though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on Triller as normal. Yeah. CMLL's on Triller this weekend as well. Weirdly,
because that's it. That's like when you see things there about like the better quality on Amazon Prime or something like that. Like it's just like I've got that part of my brain that's like, no, always bought it on Triller, so we know that we've got that backlog of all the bought shows on Triller. That like it's almost like a little AEW library got going on there. When Triller goes, you don't bet on that. I'm going to be fuming when Triller goes tits up and we just lose all that like history. But yeah, I'll stick to Triller.
I've done that before.
Shame we don't get them free ones anymore.
What was the name of that? They were great days. No wonder Triller's going out of business. What's the? There was like an old like streaming service at Wacky or something like that. I went through a period of buying films on streaming, thinking it was never going to be a problem, and then one day they shut down, and you just lose all your shit. So maybe there's something there with physical media. I think actually Triller have started putting the older AEW pay-per-views. I think they put Revolution with Sting's retirement just on the regular AEW Plus package. I think is on there now, so they're working backwards on that. So yeah, if there's any gaps, you get that in there as well. But like I said, we've got you here, mate, to talk a bit of All Out. How do you feel about the 8 o'clock start on Saturday? I did notice you and Matty are going out on Friday, so he hasn't hoodwinked you into Did at any point Matty try and get you to do a Saturday night main event night out? That's what I want to know. Was this his original plan? Once again, was he trying to distract you from the perfect 8 o'clock UK Saturday night start time again?
I had no idea that it even starts at 8 o'clock on. Do you know what? Given that I haven't, until you said about being on this show, I don't think I'd watched a second of AEW since Forbidden Door, and then I was like, all right, so I'll catch up. I'd only do it for you, mate. So I've managed to. Thank you. I've managed to cram about 16 hours of AEW in the last 3 days or something like that to get myself back up to speed. But if you'd have asked me a week ago, like, is there a pay-per-view next week for AEW? I'd have had no idea.
It does feel
absolutely clueless. Like, absolutely clueless. I had no idea.
I mean, it feels like it's obviously a good decision. I'm sure you haven't missed like the news and stuff, and I'm sure you've been listening to Spotlight every week, with the news of obviously.
Spoiler alert! You know what I'm like. You know that I haven't because I won't want any spoilers of podcasts.
You got a busy old week coming up, mate. But obviously, Super Williams put a story up on Voices of Wrestling today talking about like obviously it being the right decision with WrestlePalooza going on later on. They're going to be stealing the headlines. They're going to be out there first. I think there was one of the points he makes. Even the idea of like if it does start 8 o'clock UK time, which is 3 p.m. Eastern, like I think they're obviously on ESPN trying to run counter programming and stuff like that. But AEW are now starting even earlier. There's something called the tailgate that's going on like somewhere. You can get it on something plus Max. I think you can watch it there. I think YouTube's got its own separate pre-show there. It's going to be fucking hours worth of wrestling. And the thing is, with it being an AEW show, and like again comparing like Matty's little predictions video he's done with his 5 matches to predict, I've got about 10 or 11 or possibly 12 to go through with AEW. That's not going to be done before. It's not going to be done before WWE starts, and I actually think that's good. I think it's a really good move. I think it was always the smart move to move earlier, but it doesn't mean they have to be done, does it? Because the thing is, like, it's not like it's free. Like, we will, you know, if you're interested in the AEW pay-per-view, you're going to buy it, and then once you've bought it, you're not going to turn it off because something's starting on ESPN, are you? You're going to finish it. So they could genuinely do damage to that, at least that first hour or first 2 hours, and that's how long these fucking WWE ones run these days. And if you believe the Americans, it seems borderline impossible to get this ESPN app or whatever it is to get it on. I think it's still not on Comcast, still not on YouTube TV. I think AEW could very much win the weekend here.
That'd be hilarious, won't it? Because if that's the case, then WWE will try and put something massive on first, won't they, to try and get people to turn the channel. And then, like, so if they try and do that and fail, that'll be brilliant. Like, that'd be,
looks it even better then, doesn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, zero intention on my part to be watching a single second of WrestlePalooza. So yeah, not going to affect me, is it?
Have you felt about like the TV then, like in getting ready for the pay-per-view this weekend, and again being a professional and getting ready for tonight? What have you thought about the block as a whole? I don't think, because we had, obviously you were away on your holidays, weren't you? We had Joe on for Forbidden Door. I don't think we've actually talked about your Forbidden Door thoughts. I said it yesterday. I felt like I mean, maybe it's the distance and maybe not being there. I didn't really think a huge amount of the show. I didn't think it was bad. I just didn't think it was, one of the great AEW shows. And I felt that way about the build, but I felt like it was maybe forgivable because it was Forbidden Door and it's that type of show. It's an offer show and it's coming after All In as well. I keep saying it, like, you can't have no TV show runs 365 days a year. And there's a reason for that, because you have to have down periods. You can't just always have your All In every month. So I was more accepting of that in the run into to Forbidden Door. Maybe expect them to put the foot to the pedal a little bit more in the build to All Out, even if, as I said yesterday on Spotlight, I think the end result is all a whole load of stuff I'm invested in, even if there's a clear maybe gap at the top level of the card with Ospreay's injury, with Swerve's injury, with Kenny doing whatever Kenny's doing this month as well. But I don't want to poison the well too much. Like, yeah, what's your thoughts on the build so far? And yeah, what was your feel coming out of like the Forbidden Door period as well? And I'm going to fix my camera. One sec. Still
going to Forbidden Door, it was, generally positive. I think, like, looking at the matches that were going into that, as part of this big rewatch, I haven't rewatched Forbidden Door. Which, if anyone's heard the GRAPPL Lads episode, they'll be able to know how much of Forbidden Door I can actually fucking remember.
That was brilliant. I love that.
Been in the building, like, because Matty was saying stuff like, and this match, and I was like lying there next to him thinking, I've got fucking zero idea who won this match or what the finish was or anything like that. Note to self, stop drinking so much when you go to wrestling shows, because those later matches.
Made for better audio. Used to in the back. Sorry, I'm fixing me lighting here. It's all very professional. You keep going.
Yeah, it's So I will go back and watch that, because I know there was some like good matches on there, and I know there was like small. I've been watching as I've been catching up here on like the TV. There's just like, it'll show you a little thing of, and this happened to Forbidden Door, and I'm watching it and I'm like, did it? Like, I've got no fucking memory of that happening at all, kind of thing. So it's
my favourite bit of that review was when you both agreed. It was like, what's this person's name? I would say Persephone. Yeah, and you were like, yeah, I think it's Persephone. And Matt's like, okay, Persephone, that's a name for Stephanie. I've only learned that from being on with JP. I think he's corrected me enough times, but it made for better audio. It did. It made it more entertaining.
Oh no, it was good. I had a good night anyway, and I'm sure there's some good matches there once I rewatch. But coming out of it, I mean, obviously, like you say their hands have been tied, haven't they? And you'd assume that unless they were planning for those people to be out and they sort of knew sufficiently ahead of time going into this sort of like next pay-per-view cycle, possibly they've had to sort of like adjust some elements there. But I think my overriding view on it from catching up in it is that it's been acceptably good without being, I don't know if there's anything there that I'd say like, oh yeah, there's like, that's really hot, and that's sort of like something that feels, you know, like right up there, sort of tippy top stuff. But there's enough going on that has been positive and, you know, booked well enough to make me excited about watching it. Naturally, there does feel like there's a little bit of filler in going on in there around the edges where they've, you know, short term some matches and things like that in from a build up point of view. But there's, you know, there's things like, you know, that I'm looking at there with, like, you know, the Mox Derby, for example, is something that's been there kind of thing, and it's been a story that's come in sort of thing, and it's something that they've obviously put a bit of effort
another
into.
timeline that could be the world title match, couldn't it?
Stuff.
Like
100%. So you've got something like that feels justified, and it's something to be you know, excited about there. But there's I don't want to use the term good enough kind of thing, because that doesn't feel like I don't know, sometimes that doesn't feel positive, but I think there's enough that is good enough there kind of thing. There's enough going on. They've put effort into enough things to get it to a point where at least it's worthwhile having a match on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. It's, again, maybe we've got a couple of questions about like what they're doing with the world title scene, like who's next for Hangman, if it's Kyle Fletcher now, and me and JP have had a few debates on Kyle Fletcher, but you know, the point does remain, you know, there is a clear gap at like the top end of the card. I think maybe I don't know what I thought they'd do, but I did think there'd be like some kind of match that's like, you know, we've got AEW guys on this show. It's your A-tier guys, Moxley, MJF, obviously Ospreay and Swerve, who aren't there, Hangman. Like some combination of two of those guys against each other as a main event, I think, is what this show is missing. To me, Darby is just that notch below. Obviously, Kyle Fletcher is several notches below Hangman Page, but that's the point. That's the story they're telling, and they're using an opportunity to do that. Obviously, we can chat about that. But I don't know what I thought it'd be, but I did expect they'd go for the jugular a little bit more in that regard, and it feels a little bit like, I'm sure you haven't seen with avoiding spoilers, but Tony Schiavone was clapping back at people together today, saying like, "Oh, what did you expect?" I think, of course, we were going to put a great show on, and I think that's what they're doing. They're putting on. It's one of those like Tony Khan for the sickos type shows. This one for me, because it's wall-to-wall quality, really. Like, it's all wall-to-wall stuff that I am absolutely going to love on the night, but there isn't like that big draw on card that, you know, stacks up against, for me, a Cena Lesnar. Maybe Cope and Christian versus FTR is that for some. Maybe they're hoping it'll be that in Toronto. Probably need to get going with boots on the ground, I've heard from people in Canada, as far as local promotion to shift the last 1,000 or so tickets they've still got going. I think at the minute they're getting towards 11,000, but they're not quite past that yet. And obviously you can get quite a bit more than that in the Scotiabank. But that's more the local draw for me, really, isn't it? So yeah, I think it feels like one of those where the play here is, we're going to get in before WWE. We're going to do a similar number to what we always do, because pretty much you can consistently expect the same people to buy these AEW shows, and then by Monday, what is everyone going to be talking about? It's going to be that very clearly when you look at that WWE show, and I know you pretty much got all of the matches there. There's nothing. I said to Matty, I'll be shocked if anything on that WWE show passes anything on this AEW show. Or I think the better made with them was Brock Cena. I don't think there'll be anything on this AEW show that is worse than Brock Cena. I just don't see that being good, and I don't see Matty seeing that being good. And I think that's what they're going for with AEW. It's more that, like, we're going to super save the hardcores. They're going to get a great show in the afternoon, and we're just going to let WWE do what they want with their big stars.
Yeah.
And wrestling good saves the day, as Platt says. Yeah, exactly.
And that's what you expect, you know. At the end of the day, you know, how many times have we talked about this, like, over the years? No matter how good or bad the TV is in between the pay-per-views for AEW, genuinely, you know, you get your value for money. You know, they're always like there's always at least 4 matches on there that are, you know, 4-star territory, good stuff that, you know, you're going to like watch and enjoy. And yeah, and like, you know, you can sort of put your hand in your pocket for a pay-per-view with faith. So I'd expect that even with some of the absentees on here, even with some of maybe sort of the, you know, the booking being less top-tier star versus top-tier star in some of these things, that, you know, people who ordinarily are going to buy it are probably going to buy it. They're probably going to enjoy it. And like, in many ways, I like that approach of like kind of thing of like, who cares what WWE is doing? They're like a different, they're a different entity, like over here, kind of thing. Like, it's not like there's these massive like people in the middle who are going to be sort of like the you know, the floating opinion between, oh, should I watch that or watch? If you're going to watch them both, you're going to watch them both. It's just that you're going to choose to watch one at a different time. So, you know, and if you're watching it, you're watching it for entirely different reasons though as well, aren't you? You know, you're watching WWE for the pomp and circumstances and the sex offenders and things, and then for AEW you're watching it for you're watching it for the wrestling, the good wrestling matches.
Fair way, but yeah, can't argue with it. On that note, I will say, as Platt has pointed out, Stephanie McCare will be match of the night for that. At least they've got that going for them, in addition to the all the stuff you mentioned there as well.
With that though, Benno, I mean, with the card, I mean, when you're talking about the booking and you're talking about the AEW show and things, I think the overriding feel for me is that there's something that's been positive that I think as AEW have improved their booking from being the shit show it was for that time period, is that focus on elevation of talent. And you know, we've talked about certain people coming through, and then I think this is a card that almost feels like a bit of an elevation card. Like it does. There are elements to it that feel like, you know, you can look at it and say, yeah, maybe it does feel a bit sort of B show rather than sort of like, you know, tippy top people. But you know, I think as I look at it and I look at the build and I look at the matches that have developed, you've had like, you know, say Tekla as someone who's coming new, right? She's pushed like into a world title picture. She's mixing with Tony Storm. You've got you know, Darby Allin. Yes, he's established, and you say, okay, is that level below sort of the top tier? But he's getting to go in there and work like a match with someone who's been at the main event for that period of time. You see Mark Briscoe, someone who they've kept in and around that territory, go and be able to like go in there with MJF. You've got obviously Cal Fletcher, who's been fucking fantastic, getting that opportunity now to step up and go in there with Hangman Page. And it's not like, you know, there's zero expectations that Cal Fletcher's going to win that match. But it's just that, giving him that platform, putting him onto that thing so that, you know, further down the line, it's just experience at that level. It's working at that level. It's something that's, again, just continuing his progression and like elevation as a wrestler, and just giving him that another additional string to its bow. And like, it's weird. I've almost got like Shawn against Bret at Survivor Series in my head or something like that, almost, of when Shawn was the IC champ and Bret was the world champ and things.
Oh, good, not 1997.
Not that one. You know, we closed the door on Montreal, didn't we? But it's that thing of, you know, identifying somebody you know is going to be a part of your main event roster in the future, and throwing him out there and banking him on a bit, giving him TV time. You know, they've given him the mic, and you know, he's improves like constantly. The look continues to improve. You know, and wheeling him out in his suits and things like that. You know, the match quality is there. You know that him and Hangman are going to go out and have a banger of a match, and even in defeat, it's going to be, you know, he's going to go from there to there probably in people's minds, unless it shits the bed. Which, why would it shit the bed? It's not going to, is it?
We're going to look back at it, aren't we, and go, like, it's like, I always say it about, like, it was one of the pillars of Ghetto's booking. Like, you do it, they're not going to do this, but he'd do it with world title wins, wouldn't he? He'd have, like, somebody's first world title win wouldn't really be the crown and win. Like, he did it with Jay White, he did it with Naito, I'm sure there's others as well, where, like, they get the belt, and they have a little run, and it kind of like moves them up that level. It makes them feel like the world champion. And then the next one's the proper world title run. It's the proper long one that they get. And it was just like, it was often a booking trick that he'd utilize. Similar kind of thought process here, if not quite the same thing. In that, like, yeah, just being in a main event on a pay-per-view, turning a negative into a positive. Like, say, the negative is there very clearly. We're missing top line stars. Very clearly, there's going to be at least a dent. You know, point taken about there being different audiences there, but there'll be a dent from WWE running the same day. Like, you can't avoid it. How big that dent is probably more the debate, and it's probably not going to be as big as maybe some thought at the start, but there'll be a dent there. So there's that negative too. Why not turn it into a positive? Why not use the time and your afternoon pay-per-view to do that and elevate to Gareth Fletcher and give him that, or even test him out? It's like, you know, playing your, you signing in footy terms, and, you know, bringing him in and giving him a game to see how he gets on, and then making your decision on, okay, well, I can play him next week now, or okay, he needs a bit more training for a little while before we put him in the first team, or we put him in that like big spot. Like, that's what they're doing with Gareth Fletcher, and yeah, I think he's risen to the level. I think the the short window here to this pay-per-view again is a negative, but like, what have they done with him in that short window? They had him take out Kenny Omega. Like, that was massive. Like,
that was
was
good.
a signal
It
of
was really
intent.
good. That
Really
wasn't
good.
it?
Really good. And to be honest, I did at the time think we were building to a Kenny match, and I was quite excited about that. And then it turned out actually what was happening was Kenny was being taken out. But you got a match down the line, haven't you? That you can go back to with them too. That's set up. So presumably, actually, that's probably what's next coming for Fletcher, isn't it? Like further down the line. And then the week 2 stuff, the promo stuff with Hangman Page, like directly calling it out, just directly Hangman saying like, "You're not a top guy. You're not at this level yet." And obviously making it kayfabe, bringing up the Don Carlos stuff and all that, like. Again, I thought he rose to the level. Thought his promo back to Hangman was really good, and they've told an interesting story with it. They haven't had a lot of time. We'll see what they do on Dynamite this week to solidify it more. But I don't think you can ask for much more in the situation.
No, I did like definitely, and that's when it's like that's a good use of your world champion as well in this, where your world champion's not in a heated feud with somebody, some blood feud that's been going on for months or something like that. The good use is you need your world champion to have defenses, you need him to have wins, and then if you can have him have defenses and you can have him have wins that then elevate somebody in the process by making them work at that level, telling them they're not at that level, but then the performance in the match will be, oh, he did work to that level, and he's probably going to get a couple of near falls and things like that in the match that's going to make him look like, oh, he was close there and things. It's the right kind of use. It's not throwing him in there with a Kane kind of thing of, you know what I mean, like giving your world champion just a defense against random established monster sort of thing. It's almost like the absolute reverse of that.
That's what Wardlow would have done.
Credited to it.
If that had happened. You might not have seen the news story, but apparently Wardlow was like a plan before Wardlow got injured again. Maybe not for this pay-per-view, is the reporting, or at least the pushback on the reporting. That's more like that. This isn't that. Yeah. This is like elevating somebody, isn't it? Instead, like it ties in, obviously, with it being alive, we get plenty of questions, but somebody did ask like a really good question tied into it. Paul said, like, do you worry for Hangman's title reign due to a lack of real credible challenges? Obviously, if Ospreay, Swerve, and Kenny were around, there's a chance they might be doing other stuff. Paul mentions here, but after Fletcher or MJF again, who would you line up for him? That's where I think there is a bit of a point. He says there, who needs pushing, in your opinion, to fill the voids left by those names? Again, the gigantic void you can't fill overnight. So maybe, there was a plan or some kind of idea to circle back around to some of those big names. But the point remains, like, you don't want Hangman's title run to go like the first one did, where it felt like he was a B-level champion and he wasn't the top guy. I don't think there's a danger of that right now, but maybe if the next challenger was a Wardlow, I might start saying that. I might start going, come on, we need to give him, like, main event title challenge. I think Kyle Fletcher's perfect for this show. It's perfect for Kyle. It's a good opponent for Hangman. I would like something a bit more heavy duty the month after, but to Paul's point, I don't know if you can think of somebody. I actually don't know who that would be. You can't really go back to Moxley again, can you? I don't know how I feel about going back to MJF again. He's got 7 feuds going on, isn't he? It is actually, when you think about it, quite slim pickings.
Yeah, and that definitely is a problem, because you're asking me there and I'm racking my brains as we
What are the names? Yeah, what you do?
I'm thinking
JP said Lashley, but I think they've established him so hard as a tag guy now that like that would have made sense, especially. But again, I think if I was putting Lashley back in the singles division, I'd be putting him back in the singles division for Swerve to get his fucking win back. I'd be making a point of that if I was Tony Khan, making sure that happens at some point. Maybe before you do it though, you could put him in there. I don't know. Andrade, Ramin says here, I can't see that. Kenny, maybe that's the obvious one. Maybe that's where the Kyle Fletcher stuff goes in a direction where we get Kenny, a Hangman, and maybe Fletcher gets involved, and that splits off to Kenny and Fletcher, which, as Platt says there, could be a big match for Australia. That could be the one. MJF still got the contract. Yeah, they're probably circling back around to that, as Platt says. I prefer Kenny, though, if I'm honest. That's the only name I can think of.
Yeah, there's the Kenny side of things, and I guess kind of the way that he's gone out.
Or is Cassidy due to come back? Paul did ask about that.
Just like, you ain't throwing him in there. Like, even, I was thinking there, my brain's going to like, oh, in the same way you did Mercedes against Tony, could you do like an Okada versus Hangman or something like that? If, depending on how that title match goes this weekend and things, but you'd have thought there's just too much legs in the Well, I mean, unless you pivot and it becomes Takeshita Fletcher or something like that for that belt, if Takeshita takes the belt, because obviously they've been, teasing the Takeshita face turn and move away from the Callis family or something like that. So you've maybe got that egg in your basket, and you could like pivot towards like a card at the top level, depending on what happens with Darby Allin and Moxley, potentially Darby Allin. You could have that, give him that kind of one-off defense or something against him.
I think any of those options,
you'd guess
the
there's more
story's
legs
be
in
right.
that. Yeah. So
I think any of those options, you'd have to have something where the story elevates it further. Because I think with Darby, with even an Orange Cassidy, if you brought him back, JP was mentioning like Mark Briscoe at one point. I'm not sure on that, but they're all ones where it's a bit lesser than. So you need to do some extra work to make it feel like a main event. Even a Carter, like Tom mentioned the same as you, a Carter there on instinct, I'd say, yeah. And then you watch him, like I watched them against Oku this week, main event in their Collision, and it was like, yeah, that's about a Carter's level these days, main event in Collision. Like I'm not sure about a Carter at that level, but you could tell a story that was interesting enough that would make it make sense. Wouldn't you? I think you'd have to really put the leg in booking wise with all of those options.
Yeah, I mean, me, I'd just have Big Bill fucking destroy Eddie Kingston and then just throw Big Bill in right to the top of the card. That's what I'm looking for. But maybe that is your Kane Monster of the Month that you're getting the title there. But yeah, just put a rocket up Big Bill. Send him to the top.
Well, that's a good segue, mate. I believe just from group chats, I don't know, you were catching up, so maybe you've caught up with the TV now, and you don't subscribe to the hot take that I did see from you in one of our many WhatsApp groups. I'm in almost as many with you as I am with Matty these days, but yeah, obviously Eddie Kingston is the headliner we've got for this YouTube live. Coming back, working with Big Bill. I said it on Spotlight yesterday. I actually think Big Bill's done good work in building this up. I might be biased. I said to Matty yesterday, me and Hamflet just recorded the new housekeeping for Benno and Hamflet. And we're literally talking Steve Austin, talking Bret Hart into coming back out of retirement to work him at the Survivor Series that year. And like, it's obviously not on that level, and obviously Big Bill can't do the work Austin did. But I kind of like the shadows of that. Maybe I've been turned around a little bit by the couple of weeks of TV. But I know it took you by surprise when you found out that this was the way that Eddie Kingston was coming back to AEW.
Well, yeah, because someone put it in our chat, said that it was like a challenge on Collision, and then Eddie Kingston replying on Instagram. So
Threads, mate. Threads, not even
Threads.
Instagram. Threads.
So unless
I said reinstall it to check to see it.
So unless I've missed something as I've been fast forwarding through things, I haven't actually seen anything about Eddie Kingston on any of the television that I've been going through.
Not on Dynamite at all.
Because I'm not on social, like going on social media. Like it's wild, Scott. Like it's fucking insane that so this match is happening and I haven't even seen Eddie Kingston's face. I haven't seen a word from him or anything like that. And it's like, this guy who was like one of the most popular guys in the company, been away all this time, and I love Big Bill, but like this is the way that like you're doing it and bringing him back. It just seems wasteful, and like I appreciate, like as you say there, the work that Big Bill's done as almost like the one-sided feud sort of to build the match. I think he's done well with what he's had, but is there not a better use of Eddie Kingston for not a better way to bring him back, especially in a world where your main event scene's decimated as well? Like, surely there's more you could have done on telly.
Yeah, he's a name we didn't even mention. Did we? Somebody you could be working with, Hangman. Like Andy says there, yeah, might as well have sent a message on MySpace. Chris Elliott saying, look forward to the next title match. Title match on Bebo. I remember Bebo. Friends reunited. Maybe it could be. Andy he'll change his MSN status. I was definitely on that. Did you get a status on AIM? I can't remember. You could send it an AOL Instant Messenger message. Yeah, Rami hits the nail on the head here. Like maybe, and JP's made that point, they don't value Eddie as much as they should. Jamie Hayter suffered from the same treatment you mentioned there. It's funny, Rami being there in the chat, I was going to bring up like his question linked to this. Like he said, like, do you think AEW wrestlers openly praising Tony for being nice as an indirect red flag for leadership and management skills of Tony Khan? He says, you don't exactly hear football players talk that way about great managers. I was going to link that into this conversation, and it's a broader point we can talk about. But I did find myself saying that. I did find myself like on air going, maybe it's good man management. Maybe it's, Tony looking at Eddie Kingston, seeing the issues he's had. Maybe Eddie Kingston has said, I don't want the pressure of it. I want to, come back just give me a match and then we'll do the other stuff. And I can't talk about that as good man management, but maybe it's not. Maybe actually maybe Tony needed to go, oh, that's lovely, that, but by the way, you're one of the best wrestlers in the world. You're one of my most important stars. Build them up however you build them up, however a great manager would build their player up, and tell them, no, you're doing something more important than that. Like, it links in, doesn't it? Like, it does feel like it's kid gloves. Has to be the reason that they're doing it this way, because, yeah, or outside of that, the only other answer is they don't value Eddie, like Ramin's other point is there.
Yeah, it's a weird one to unpack, because I've always thought Tony Khan's, well, I say always thought, I think piecing together signs over the years made me just feel like there was, weakness there in his leadership. And I know obviously you've done a bit of rewatching in the last 24 hours or something like that. That harks back to that we can jump into. I think you can be a good leader and a good and be nice kind of thing, but it's like you've got to have. You can't be nice and weak, kind of. And I think sometimes his problem is trying to be nice, but being weak, because of it, really. So, I think, you'd guess that it's a sort, you'd like to think that they've had them open conversations with Eddie Kingston and, what he wants to do when he comes back and things, and thrown ideas about into the mix and stuff. And that's not just some kind of, he's coming back and there you go, we've decided this is what we've got for you sort of thing. You'd assume there's an element of like a two-way street that comes there, and potentially anything can happen on the night that then evolves. Oh, all right, that's why he's come back like that, or something like that.
Puts him in the building for a heel to bump into him, like a Moxley or someone.
So 100%. So there's always that avenue, but then maybe he's a guy who's the age that he is, and some of the stuff that he's seen when he was he didn't look in the best shape and things like that when he's been off and things. He's coming back from something serious. Maybe it is just a case of giving that substitute like 10 minutes one week and then 15 minutes the next, and then 20 minutes build him back up to sort of to where he needs to be before you throw him into the mix. Because last thing you want to do is, I suppose, is put him in the mix with something that he's going to shit the bed on, potentially, if he doesn't feel right in himself to be coming in and doing that at that level either. So we shall see, won't we? But there's at least on one level, at least there's, I suppose, there's opportunity there, for things to sort of like develop along the way. But it can't just be like we're throwing you into this random feud and there's not much thought gone into what the next 2 or 3 months look like, surely.
Like, if they do this and like it's a longer term feud with Big Bill, as much as I like Big Bill, I don't like that. I don't like that for Eddie. I think Eddie is unfortunately above that. He shouldn't be. Big Bill should be in a high position, but he's not. And you've got to get there with him. And I don't think this would be the way. I think it'd pull Eddie down rather than bring Big Bill up. If it turns into like Eddie, then his next feud is like Lance Archer or something like that. I think that's when we start asking questions. I think I'm leaning negative on it, but I'm willing to be open-minded if exactly what you said happens there, that like he turns up on the show, he wins the match, and then like later in the show, for whatever reason, him and Moxley come loggerheads, like really, or him and Claudio I'd take as well, but something that would lean into that direction that we've all been fancy booking this entire time. Anything less than that, I'm gonna think, what Ramita mentioned there, like he mentions there about like Danielson, being another extreme example, megastar coming in but never really truly used or presented as such. I do broadly agree with that, outside of very clear and obvious fleeting examples, such as his world title run before he retired. But yeah, that maybe if it's something lesser than I think Eddie really deserves or should have at this point in his career, I think that might tell us that maybe it's true that they think less of him, but I'm hoping it goes the other way and it's just purely man management, whether that's a good idea or not to Steph's point there.
Yeah. I mean, it's tailor-made for him to fuck Mox over and see him and lose to Darby Allin, isn't it? Like, and then set something up there, and then he's injected into that space where people probably expected that he was going to be, immediately put into. So, there's all sorts that can be done there.
Other all-in thoughts then? All-out, thoughts going into it? Like, Anything else catching your eye going in? Actually, I was going to half ask you as well. Should Tony Khan be paying attention to WWE and Saudi WrestleMania? Should he be running MSG that weekend, or should he be concentrating on himself here? Should we be announcing that this weekend? You know, whatever weekend WrestleMania happens to be in 2026, 2027, isn't it? We could do an AEW MSG pay-per-view or something like that.
They absolutely should run against it, shouldn't they? Because then and maintain that WrestleMania weekend of shows all happening and around it. And
I don't think they should, but I want them to. So I'm with you. Like I think your point earlier, AEW should concentrate on itself. I think that's always been the best lesson for AEW. Maybe though, just because I'd really enjoy it, and this might be an exception because there were comments from GCW today talking about how they've had offers to run Saudi, but they're not sure whether they'll be able to present their shows the way they want. Yep, there's a couple
GCW in Saudi.
somebody made the joke, Effie's big straight lunch or something like that. I don't know what he'd do. Don't think Effie got on the plane. But in all seriousness, like that's horrendous, though, isn't it? If you're GCW and you run that weekend, then whatever I think of Effie as a wrestler, you like hang him out to dry, like not literally, hopefully, but like just leave him at home and don't run it. Don't run that show, but run all your other WrestleMania weekend shows. Like, I think that'd be a red line for me if I was GCW. But maybe the Fed money's too much to follow.
You still just want to like run that weekend, and then other indies that are like running in and around there that aren't like aligned to the Fed and things that still getting that almost annual sort of carnival of wrestling where people are getting to go to a big show and then go to other stuff in and around it. You've got ROH in your back pocket that you can do show off your own bat and things there that you can sell. You've got the New Japan relationship there that you might do something else with as well. Obviously with they've done the with the ROH and Dean and things like that and stuff. They've got them relationships with other stuff that could 100% put something on. And again with the time,
bring Double Nothing forward.
Yeah, with the timings from a Saudi point of view, like as well, I'm guessing like what time of Saudi shows are even normally on. So like WrestleMania is going to be on well early then, isn't it? I don't know. I've literally never watched a Saudi show. I think do they normally start
usually prime time UK, aren't they? Yeah, they're usually like 5 p.m. UK time. So yeah, you'd expect an early show too.
So potentially it's like you've got a different time zone to incorporate there, like.
Yeah. I think they could do it, and like I say, Double or Nothing's a May show anyway. I wouldn't want them to like go so in on it that it's very clearly like just reacting to WWE. They could just go, we'll run Double or Nothing like normal, but it's going to be very early May, or it's going to be late April maybe, and all of the talk to like GCW as much as AEW don't get on with them, or talk to WrestleCon and be like, listen, guys, probably put you out of business, not run a con this year. Do it this weekend instead and make it AEW's WrestleMania weekend instead. I don't know about running that exact weekend, but again, I'd enjoy the content. I'd be on here podcasting about it and having a fucking great week. So I kind of want to wish it into existence, even if I was advising Tony, I'm not sure I'd go with it.
I'd be there, mate. I've always wanted to go to America for a
Saudi
WrestleMania weekend. I know. I was wanting to go to America for a WrestleMania weekend for all the indie shows, and this would be the perfect time. I could go and do a WrestleMania weekend, and WWE aren't in the country. It'd be absolutely perfection. But yeah, I'm excited about that already.
Well, I didn't even think that. I watched obviously our friends over at What Culture. I watched their preview video of WrestlePalooza, and I just missed that in the news, but saying that, I have actually like seen it kind of alluded to. That is that idea. Like WrestlePalooza is going to be like the new WrestleMania. Like that's going to be like I think Nick Khan said that in some kind of interview that like for years where WrestleMania is international, WrestlePalooza will be the other big show that year. So like that, maybe that's to Chris Elliott's point where GCW run instead next year. Maybe they're trying to establish that this year. Good luck, lads. We'll see. But yeah, Elite Mania, you could call it. Pat says there. Maybe that could be the one. Yeah, the Saudis are 2 hours ahead. Andy is right as well. Yeah, I'll be there for the mayhem, even if, like I say, I'd have some misgivings on it. But it'll be an interesting couple of years coming up. But yeah, did you have any other thoughts on AEW before we move on to? We got some AEW related questions we can get into, but any other broad AEW thoughts? We'll get some more other subjects as well.
I mean, I think we've probably covered off most stuff there. As I'm just like looking and just like thinking about the matches that they've got going on and things. It's I think probably the only other thing I've got here on my list of thoughts along the way is the Garcia turn, and this just very much does just feel to me like this is like last chance saloon for him, for me, kind of thing. Like it's I think they've they've put him in a position where he's had the belt, he's had good wins on TV, and then it's obviously then he's lost the belt and things, and then it's like flipped and flopped like the other way, and talked quite a lot in the past about some wrestlers get given an opportunity and they fucking grab hold of that opportunity and they step up and they run with it and things like that. And I think along the way, Garcia has been featured on TV in different guises, positive and negative, like for a long period of time now. And to me, I just feel like now he's in the position where something's got to happen with him now. And if nothing happens with him now, then I think people just have to accept that, yeah, he's this good wrestler who's like a, really good sort of, be outstanding on the indie scene, putting like amazing matches on, is someone who's, got that level of work and things, but maybe he is just that good mid-card worker who hasn't got the chops to step up to the next level. Because if this doesn't work for him now and he doesn't sort of kick on from here, I just don't know where does he go from here? You can't keep trying. I think it does feel a little last chance saloon for me with this, because he's been put in there in and amongst a lot of top people over the years as well, of different types and different caliber of main eventers, but still people who are at the top of the card and people who've done a lot in their careers and things like that. So yeah, this is the big one for me. I've got my eye on this one, really, because I want it to happen. Like, I'd love him to just something to just click and him just get that thing that just makes him feel like the next level above. But I've been sort of starting to doubt it a lot over the last 12 months, whether that is actually something that's ever going to happen. Especially when you see the likes of the Kyle Fletcher, the way he's just given a sniff of an opportunity and he's just rocketed to the top. And yeah, there's been a bit of a push behind him, but he's done a lot of that off his own bat as well, through the work and the natural charisma and things like that as well, really. So that's the big one I've got my eye on.
Yeah, same. And like, I didn't think Collision was a great indication of it. Even the execution of the turn, in that, like, he botched the Super Dragon, like he boxed the curb stomp, like that wasn't great. And then like and again, as I said to Matty, he felt a little bit, I don't know, he's walking behind Moxley and it feels a little bit like, oh, we're just doing the Jericho story again. I hope there's something more interesting. Obviously, that's going to have to be an element of it, but we're going to have to give him something else there. I hope like it ends up into like my dream for it is, like, I'm sure maybe your dream for it is to do something with Wheeler Yuta, where it ends up being like them two feuding out of this somehow, whether that ends up with Wheeler Yuta as a babyface or who knows what, or, going back to something that worked way back when, it was early ROH days. It was something we were all clamoring for, to be like the Pure Division feud. You want to see both of them elevate, and maybe they can elevate each other. But yeah, it's shit all get off the pot time for him, because it feels a bit like Claudio in WWE, and like people will say, like, I absolutely agree, like there were loads of individual moments where Claudio was booked badly, but broadly speaking, one of those few points that me and Matty agree on. I think he was about at the right level in WWE pretty much through his career. And it wasn't, at the end of it, you kind of look back and went, I'm not sure it's a travesty he wasn't world champion. I think he was about at the right level, even if quibble with the individual booking. And in a similar way with Daniel Garcia, that might be how the book closes on it, when eventually, if this experiment doesn't work as well, it's like, all right, yeah, we absolutely could have booked him better in the Jericho feud. He could have, spots they gave to Sammy Guevara should have clearly been given to Daniel Garcia, but did get a lot of chances too, and he was in a decent position at various points across his run as well. And if he doesn't make more of it, maybe there's not more there. Maybe that's what we end up finding out. But yeah,
and to that point, like, I love Wheeler Yuta, but I love Wheeler Yuta as like guy on the top of an indie card putting on a 35 minute match. Like, I love him in the role that he's in. He's been in the Death Riders. Has just been that fucking shithouse, the one who just takes takes everything perfect. But got him on TV with the main eventer all the time. Okay, he's not out there having the matches that you'd see on the indies, but he's never going to be a guy who's at the main event level for that. Like, if you went to Yuta against Garcia, to me that's a TNT title level feud that you'd see. It never feels like something to me that's going to ever be more than that. And then I think how much effort they've put here into the idea of Garcia coming so close to beating Mox a few times but never getting to beat him. To to me, if this ends in any other way than actually Garcia's just gone on the inside to, find the inner workings to learn to then beat Mox. Like, if it's any other way than that, then I don't see where this goes, because he is just going to be the guy behind Moxley, because Moxley ain't going to give up that fucking territory to have him as like, oh, I'm not going behind him, am I, kind of thing, or he's not going to be equal to me. Like that ain't happening. So it's got to be a mechanism for him to beat Mox in the future, to then fulfill the story that they've been telling there with him getting so close in a few of these matches. But again, we shall see. Maybe they've already internally just gone, you know what, he's not a main eventer, and he's never going to be a main eventer, so let's get what juice out of him while we've got him.
Semi-related question, Ben asked there, what's your thoughts on Wrestler of the Year this year, and does Moxley have candidacy? I think that's a really good question.
This is weird. That is so weird. I've been thinking this afternoon, and I swear I've not been on the Discord or read any questions and stuff. It was something that I wasn't necessarily going to talk about today, but I had that seed in my head of, could Moxley be Wrestler of the Year here? And I was like, going to go back and do a little rewatch of stuff to sort of build that case in my head, because I was thinking it's very, very feasible that he might be.
I think he is. I think it's going to be one of those conversations at the end of the year, like that year we all gave WWE Promotion of the Year, and we did it with like Heavy Heart. Maybe not in that same way, but it's going to be like, yeah, I've made all these arguments against him, and there was a point in the year where he would have been my worst Wrestler of the Year, 100%. But fuck, has everything else been so good that he's my Wrestler of the Year? Damn it, he might be. He honestly might be a consideration. And you haven't seen the question because Ben DM'd me, so there you go. Yeah, can I think of another fruit right now?
I'm laughing at Steph in the chat.
Is she saying, oh, please
no
God,
fucking way.
But like, Ospreay might have been the candidate, but Ospreay's going to be out for the rest of the year. Swerve, we don't know how quickly he's going to be back. Who were the other candidates? Kenny's been injured the whole year. Hangman, yeah, you know what? Hangman maybe is the one I'll go with. just so I don't say Moxley at the end of the year to make February, March Benno look like an idiot. But there's a really good. It's a good question. There's a good argument for it. There is. Maybe we'll see where this Garcia story goes. Maybe we'll see where this Darby story goes. But I mean, it's clear. Even the biggest haters of Moxley at one point in the year, we all have to admit he's been very good television the last while. Like he has. He just has. Like the last, in dropping the belt and since that. Like I thought we all wanted to break from Moxley and he'd fuck off for a couple of months, and I was almost disappointed when they didn't do that. But I think he's earned his time over the last couple of months, and I didn't expect. I was one of the biggest haters. I was front of the queue 3 months ago.
Yeah, I just think it's delivered. I think once they got past the original bullshit, and then they sort of got things on course. Like I just think with the various feuds, with the various matches that he's had and things like that, everything's just delivered for me. Like it's been real good, but there hasn't been a moment like that Hangman moment when he won the belt, and like obviously Mox played a part in that, but like just seeing Hangman get that win and that build towards that and things, just from a storyline and a delivery point of view, and then sort of the caliber of work that Hangman's put in. Yeah, right now he's probably like tipping it the other way. But when I look at when I look at the rest of people kind of thing, and I'm thinking about choices, I'd maybe even go a total U-turn on the way I was talking probably 12, 18 months ago. But like, I reckon Mercedes Moné's in the mix. Like personally, I think she's fucking had a belter of a year. Like she's really consistently like delivered across the piece as well. So be giving consideration to that one too.
Good one. There you go. That's a good question to start us off with. I've got some other questions. I've got a couple of other subjects I'll get your thoughts on. Zahid did ask. CM Punk seems to be for life now. And if anyone else going to give us some fun backstage drama? He also asks, should Zack Sabre Jr. leave New Japan? And he's got a question about Bret Hart. I can't wait to get into with it as well. Shall we start with... actually, you know what? Let's start with the Bret one. I'll circle back around to Punk. He asked, have you seen Bret Hart's comments about Triple H? Because I've been dying to ask you about this. While he was in, was it last night he was in Manchester? I can't believe you and Matty didn't go. I know Eddie Sideburns went to one of the shows, didn't he? But basically what he said was he wishes after Montreal Triple H had followed Vince McMahon into his locker room, because he'd have punched him out too, and then he might not have never married Stephanie McMahon. Among other words, he called him a phony, and just basically went in 2-footed on him, which was lovely to see, to be honest. There was a few people in the comments saying things like, "Oh, we wouldn't say that to his face," and it's like, did you not watch WrestleMania? Because it was written all over Bret's face. Like he couldn't have been more disrespectful to the King of Kings making his entrance. But Bret's always got to be Bret. Yeah, got to start there.
Yeah, of course. He made him look like the biggest gobshite in the sun at WrestleMania, didn't he? The way that he treated him there in such a nonchalant way as well, like the way that he did it, like brilliant. But we were supposed to be at that Manchester show, you know.
Oh, really?
I was supposed to sort out the tickets, but I just never did it. And then when I came to do it, it was sold out. I was like fuming, like proper fuming, because I've you know me, I'm not one for like wrestler photos or anything like that. But like me and Matty were like,
oh, imagine.
we were like, you know, I've had the opportunity to meet Bret in the past and not done it. Like, you know, when we were at the For the Love of Wrestling show and things, when he was like right there, he was like literally sat at the bar behind me and things like that, and just never went and talked to him. But like, I was like, now, like, yeah, maybe I should do now, kind of thing. After the Bret room,
there'll be other
and all
opportunities,
that kind of thing. But yeah, fuck that one up good and proper by not getting that. But good on him. Good to hear him. Speaking the truth as he does 99% of the time.
Should Zack Sabre Jr. leave New Japan? That was one of Zahid's other questions. Would he be successful elsewhere? What are the options, really? I think Zack's USP is that he's a New Japan guy, isn't it, really? Like, if he was in AEW and he was just another wrestler there, like, what would he be, really? He'd be an ROH, which is what he's done in the past in AEW. But then, yeah, what's the ceiling in New Japan these days? He seems happy, though. He just seems happy being out there in Tokyo and living there, so I can't see another route for him.
I mean, I'd like him to come to AEW because I'd actually be watching him, and you know, he's like one of my favourite wrestlers. But the pull to watch him in New Japan isn't.
And if Danielson had any say, get a good push.
Yeah, and it's weird because like, he's on the best run of his career, and I've sort of watched his career up to this point, and then not watching the IWGP title runs is sort of a bit odd to me and a bit backward that it's not pulled me in there. But there's enough people in AEW that I'd love to see him like get in there and work with him. You know, they're just going to have some bangers there. So yeah, 100%. Get him in AEW.
There you go. Just for Gareth's viewing. Maybe get him in a Prestige. Did you see that today? That Prestige are taking a break. They're saying at this point. I know that was one of your little promotions you were following quite closely. Another one bites the dust.
Well, I've taken a break from Prestige since about January. There you go. So that's good. Less for me to catch up there. Yeah.
Is it an IWTV sub that you've let lapse? Is that what has put them out of business? No, it's a shame though, isn't it? There aren't many good indies, as we saw.
It is because they were telling good stories, the way they're utilising their regular talent, and you know, getting I've talked about Sinner and Saint, talked about like, you know, Alan Angels. They were getting a really good, you know, what they were doing with Alan Angels was like spot on there, and then just some of the people who were just more sort of like localised talent there. So yeah, that's disappointing because I was literally thinking at the start of this week, like, once I've done this AEW catch up, I need to do a Prestige catch up. So there you go. Less time pressure for me to do that.
Yeah. I mean, Zahid's other question ties into something I wanted to talk about anyway, and we actually had a couple of comments on it. He says, CM Punk seems to do for life now. Any chance we get any fun backstage drama? That links into a question we got from Dan, following on from me last night. I was on YouTube. I can't remember what I was watching. You know the way YouTube will auto play the video. It also played the All Out presser from 2 years ago. Is it now? Is it 2 years? I think it's 3 years. 3 years maybe. I think it's 3 years now. Yeah, wild. How time flies. Yeah, and played the entire CM Punk eating muffins promo. Fuck me, I couldn't turn it off. I literally sat there for the full 20 odd minutes or whatever the runtime is, watching it every second of it. There was loads of stuff I'd forgotten about. It was so interesting seeing like Tony Khan sat next to CM Punk like in the environment now, like 3 years later. Like again, Sophia said in the Discord that it's fascinating to see Tony sat there the entire time with this fake smile during it. The thing that stood out for me, like, and obviously Sophia mentioned there, like the short-term embarrassment he would have had if he'd have shut Punk down, but maybe should he, and it would have put everything in stopped everything in motion. Watching it back, I'm not sure, because like very clearly now you watch it back. Punk 100% knew what he was doing. 100%, was waiting for Nick Hausman let Nick Hausman have the first question because he wanted to jump on him for being in improv class with Colt Cabana or whatever it was, and then Nick, he literally says it. He's like, "Oh yeah, you've stood on my spot there by saying you're not friends with Cabana anymore," and then multiple times, actually half apologizing to Nick Hausman, who keeps apologizing to him as well, and then like every time the subject changed, Punk could just bring it back to Colt Cabana and bring it back to very clearly pre-rehearsed lines that he had about all of the elites, you know, about the empty-headed fuck in Hangman Page, and you know the EVPs who can't manage a target stuff. Like it's, you can see his brain wearing. It's like it's brilliant. It's one of the all-time great promos. It's a shame it had nothing to do with the match, or you know, never resulted in any actual money being drawn. But very clearly, it's Punk's working brain is going there, and he's got all this together. Very clearly, he also knows he's hurt. Like watching it with that context as well, that like he knows it's going to be his last night in the locker room for a while. But yeah, to the point. Sorry, like Tony Khan's reaction to it, like he just, you know, was sat there kind of smiling and like kind of nodding at what Punk said, but like empty, like, you know, there's nothing in his eyes because he's not really listening to Punk. He's just wanting the moment to be over. But like the biggest thing for me was the end of it. Like you would think, like, for all the stuff Punk says in it about like Tony Khan's wrestlers and his locker room and his company, and even I think we picked up on it at the time, like Hangman Page has done nothing in this business, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, like all of that stuff, and Tony Khan at the end of it, just it's like the end of it, it's like nothing happened. He's hugging him, he gives him the belt, he like calls, you know, there you go, champ type of stuff, and it's like it's a laugh and it's a hug and it's a, you know. Anyway, on to the next question. It's like literally, if Punk hadn't gone backstage and punched out the Young Bucks, like that would have just been fine. It looks like it would have just been like, oh well, we'll move on, no problem. Like it's just I guess it links to the Tony Khan question before about his management skills, but if it was ever on display there, like watching it back now, it's like I think Tony Khan took some lessons from it, and like he sat there as well in like a hoodie. You don't see him do that anymore, do you, at these presses? He looks at least a little bit more presentable at these things. And like very clearly, like he doesn't want to be, you know, he watched it back and saw how bad it looked, but in the moment, like, God, he might as well not be there for everything Punk's doing. It's fucking, I don't know if you've seen it any time recently, but it's like, it's fascinating watching, like, even now.
I haven't watched it like in quite a while, but like it's almost, it's burned in your brain, isn't it? It's like such a.
Do you remember the day it happened? Sorry, we had you on. You went on Spotlight. I was gutted. I think you just couldn't get the pay-per-view watched, and like all day. I actually remember where I was. I was stood outside my work. I was messaging you. Have you seen the pay-per-view yet? Have you seen the pay-per-view yet, Gareth?
I remember being sat in work. I can remember.
And you were going, why? Something happened, and I was like, just once you finish the pay-per-view, send me a message immediately, and then I'll send you a link to something, but don't read anything. And like you did, you messaged me. I was on my scooter coming back from work, going through town. I saw your message. I parked the scooter up. I got my phone out, and I sent you the YouTube link. I was like, you need to see this unspoiled before anything else. You need to watch this. Like it was fucking, it was a moment. I was actually watching it last night. Sorry, like watching it going, like, we'll never have a moment like this again. It was exhilarating thinking back to that time and how fucking unbelievable that entire news cycle was.
I can remember your message coming through like clear as a bell. Like I can remember that moment, kind of thing, of feeling like, "Why? What's gone on? What's happened?" Kind of thing. Like what, you know, like
I just couldn't tell you because it spoiled the result of the kayfabe match, mate, that happened that night. So we couldn't. I don't even know what the match was now. Was it Moxley? Maybe, I don't know.
I think, you know, we were talking before about like Tony Khan's like management style. That is the night where I think I'd had these feelings that had been building up for like a few months of like, you know, negativity towards Tony Khan and to like possibly the way that he handled things, like watching the way certain things had been booked or the way certain wrestlers had, not done things that they maybe should have done and things along the way. And that was the night that I was like, yeah, he's fucking, he's shit him. He's like, I remember, I must, if I wasn't on that show, I must have come on the next show afterwards, because I remember doing a show and giving him both barrels kind of thing, of just saying how weak he looked and where he was pulling them stupid little faces and things like that he's pulling throughout, and his little like he just looked like such a CM Punk mark sat next to him kind of thing, as opposed to looking like the boss of a, you know, multi-million-dollar company. And, you know, I think you've drawn them, you know, comparisons at the time, like, you know, obviously everything aside kind of thing, but there's no way Vincent McMahon's sitting there letting his fucking someone talk like that publicly in front of the press and things. They'd have been shut down immediately. Things would have been
Triple H wouldn't, would he? Whatever
there'd have been business.
It
would have been business, and that was not like business that night. And then, I think the most unfortunate thing about that is it's when you think about it, and you've kind of given me the feeling that I want to go back and watch that tonight. It's unfortunate that human being doesn't exist anymore. Old Philip Brooks that was in the building that night is it was the last hurrah, wasn't it? Because he was get outed, I think, as soon as he went back to Connecticut, and suddenly we've got this robot brained play along with things, Phil Brooks, that unfortunately we've got now that just doesn't there doesn't appear to be an ounce of his character or soul left in the man.
Yeah, it's funny because like watching it, like he's clearly miserable, but there's clearly so much life in that, in being that misery. Like he seems to enjoy the misery in a lot of ways. Yeah. Like I guess bringing up the EVPs and bringing up like even buries MJF at one point, which could be seen as storyline because MJF made his return that night, didn't he? That All Out that year, and got cheered in Chicago. I think he was annoyed about that as much as anything. Like because that was obviously not the way he would do things. He's talking a lot about the young wrestlers not listening to the old wrestlers. He's basically like talking like other veterans used to talk about CM Punk in the mid-2000s. Isn't it funny that you become the old man? I would argue, though, I think he's happier in WWE. Like, it could be, and I think you're totally right. Like, we don't really get to see the real Phil Brooks anymore on television. It's a real fucking crying shame that we don't. So it could be that he's masking it. But I think I've always thought that about Punk. I think he was the same in the Indies. Like, he was a megastar in ROH in the Indies, and, like, we lapped the field and was so entertaining being Punk and being the man who stood up for the Indies and like made it part of his personality and stuff, and it was part of his USP. But on the sly, he actually wanted to be the WWE superstar. That's what he wanted. Like he wasn't working your work ratey matches with Austin Aries and Loki. I mean, he would, but he wouldn't enjoy it. Like he wasn't there to do those types of matches. He was there to tell stories in his way. He's there to work more of a television style. Call it traditional, you can even call it like traditional American booyah, babyface heel style wrestling. That's what he brought. He was different than the other guys on that roster for that reason. And weirdly, in WWE kind of came a bit more like those guys once he got there. But that was always kind of his headspace. And I think he liked being the biggest star on the indies. He liked throwing his weight around, and you heard a lot of stories about that because he always saw himself, actually, despite what he said, is better than that, and saw himself as somebody who should be on that top level in WWE. It's been his driving force his entire career. And like one of my takeaways watching the Brawl Out like promo was just like very clearly, for everything he says about wanting to be like that indie guy, and AEW being built very much in the type of guy he presents himself as in that image, a company started by indie guys type of thing. Actually, he really looks down on it, and actually, like you can tell, like he doesn't respect Hangman Page, he doesn't respect Tony Khan, he doesn't respect the Young Bucks. He makes, he made that comment about Reseda, didn't he? He clearly, maybe it's an age thing. He clearly saw AEW as like the distant number two, and he actually wanted to be in the number one. I think he really did. And again, it's come out since, hasn't it? Like he's talked on different podcasts that him and Triple H had conversations way before, we went back to AEW. There were a couple of points where it looked like he might be going back to WWE, and then he didn't. So like that part of the story, like that we all got told that like it was AEW or nothing. I don't think that was ever true. I think actually what he really wanted was to get that pat on the back from Triple H and get that hug and get that phony WrestleMania main event and get to say he works in the big leagues now. And I think now that he's there, again, I think he's happy. I think he doesn't care. Obviously, the work isn't as good, and obviously we're not getting, the Punk that me and you want out of it. But I think the man himself, as much as he's had to swallow his morals to get there, is much more happy. He might not even admit that to himself, but I think that's probably true.
Yeah, and, we always say he's very much self first anyway, isn't he, kind of thing. So if he's self first and he's actually happy and he's got what he wanted, if you look back and you think about like the surprise when he took that TV analyst that was at Fox that he was doing the show, like that felt disappointing at the time that he'd even gone and done that, and then he was trying to justify it with like, oh no, it's not with WWE though, it's with Fox sort of thing that I'm doing that show. He probably wanted them to kiss his ass a bit more and probably work a bit harder to get him to sign at that point. And clearly they probably didn't do that sort of thing. Whereas if they'd maybe rolled out the red carpet a little bit more at that point, he might have just sort of like stepped into that territory. But I'm you know what my bloody memory's like. I'm awful with timelines. But Cody had already gone back, hadn't he, to WWE when Punk did that promo. When Punk did that promo and things, was he? Had he not gone by then? I was just thinking about. So, no. I was thinking about him seeing the Cody Rhodes coming out at WrestleMania, and that was an amazing moment. And if him with his head being what it is, seeing Cody Rhodes there like that must have been a like fuck, that is the big leagues kind of thing there. Like, I should be there. So you know, he's gone from AEW and done that. I can do that sort of thing. You know, as well. So you know, just think like little things along the way. Because at the end of the day, he's definitely motivated by being, you know, like being popular, being a star. He loves money quite clearly, kind of thing as well. You know, so you know,
loves money.
all of them different factors, like. It's a no-brainer that he's gone there, and then if he can go, and he can, like I will say this, phone it in to some degree, and just, you know, turn up and do the bare necessarily that you need to do to still be the CM Punk character within the realms of WWE in 2025. And yeah, might not be to mine and yours tastes, but still sell a load of t-shirts, still get a big contract, still be on TV, still in big matches. It's perfect for him, really, at this time of life, isn't he? Well, he's the exact same age, isn't he? I'd be fucking delighted to just show my face somewhere and get a boatload of cash rolled out to me at this age, and, you know, feeling old and knackered without having taken fucking bumps for however many years. Yeah.
You've become Phil in your old age, Mitch. That's what it is. I mean, do you put any stock in what Will Cooling says there about, like, obviously the Saudi shows? We gave him so much grief about going out there. I guess the truth is now they're all going out there, aren't they? I think that, to be fair, a lot of people were making that point. Like, that was the day he signed the WWE contract was the day we should have been disappointed in CM Punk, if we were ever disappointed in CM Punk for selling out and going back to WWE and going to Saudi. Like, that's the deal, isn't it? You sign one of them contracts, a percentage of your contract is blood money either way, whether you work the shows or not.
Yeah, it's like 100%. And like, again, I think I remember doing the show at the time just after he came back to WWE, and it just been like, this is just weird. Like, I feel a bit sick kind of thing about it. You know, it felt a bit odd because, again, we've essentially been worked for a decade since he left. But you know, that's
worse than you.
That was his you know, that was his mindset. And you know, he's like, I was disappointed the day he did that Fox show. That was a hammer blow. Like, personally, it was like, oh no, kind of. He's going to end up going back there, and I don't want him to go back there, even though I want to see him on my TV and things like that. And like, it's, you know, I don't, you know, it's just meaningless to me now. I don't care. You know, he's doing a Saudi show. Big deal. Like, you know, of course he is, kind of thing. Like, why wouldn't he? Like, you know, it's clearly been shown that he's got whatever values he's got and things. Like you say, if he's happy, well, fair fucks, who are we to complain?
The most punk rock thing you could do. And I don't mean that as a compliment, but
absolutely.
There we go. I would recommend
Lurpak next.
Yeah, 100%. It's the trodden path. He needs to follow it. But I would recommend watching that Brawl out promo. Like I say, it is all out from 3 years ago, which is, again, unbelievable. But yes, a fantastic news cycle at least we got out of it. And yeah, got him ripping into Brian Alvarez. I've forgotten about that section of it. I even went in and watched like the Brian Alvarez like reaction to it and response to it on like Observer Live and stuff. It was like, oh god, we had it great once upon a time. Yeah, we had an AEW that had, you know, Bryan Danielson, CM Punk in it, Cody Rhodes in it, and we had backstage goss, the likes of which to go full circle and answer the question, we're probably never going to get into WWE because, again, he likes money and he's probably not going to upset that apple cart. But we can live in hope. Other couple of questions before I let you go. Second half of Paul's question, obviously asked about Hangman. Do you? What do you think about Unchastity coming back? Where do you see him fitting in? What could he do? Death Rider seems obvious, doesn't it? Work the Callis family or something like that. Again, I'm just going to fix this camera, but I am in.
I mean, just hearing that name doesn't give me that doesn't give me any excitement or motivation to see him on my TV. Really, I feel like he's one of them people that, like, if he's going in there with Death Riders, like, I just feel like I've seen that before. I think some of the other names that's in there, like, is there anybody that I'd like be looking at and thinking like, oh yeah, I'm absolutely crying out to see them embark on a feud with Orange Cassidy? Like, probably not. Probably be a decent stepping stone for Carl Fletcher on his continued route to the top. Is something that's a bit fresh, really. I could sort of see them probably doing some decent business together. But yeah, like, until you said his name there, he's not someone who I've even thought about for months. Like, he's never entered my consciousness as someone who's missing off TV.
He's the type of wrestler who needs a break, doesn't he? Every now and then, a little bit of time off isn't the end of the world, is it? So yeah, we'll see where he fits in when he comes back. Rosatron asks, you saw TK talking up another shite video game the other day. Favorite wrestling game of all time? We did the 5-1, did we? Or maybe I did the 5-1. Maybe it was just me. Would yours be WrestleFest? I'm guessing, Gareth.
My favourite wrestling game of all time. I don't know. Now you've got me. There was that great WCW one, wasn't there? Was that, I can't remember if it was WCW versus the World or it was where they had all like they had the huge roster that you could choose from. Like that was good, but probably mine's like EWR, to be honest. If I think of that as a game, it's going to be that, where I can sit and look at statistics and think about it and map stuff out rather than mash buttons.
I keep wanting to test out, like Tom's in the chat, let us know in the chat. I keep forgetting the name of it, but there's a new like EWR like knockoff type game that's like it's EWR,
the mobile game.
But yeah, with a modern UI.
Yeah. I saw that. It was like $4.99. I was thinking like, yeah, I'll give it a go for that, but I've not pressed the button yet.
I keep saying I'm going to dust off my Twitch, and at some point I will dust off my Twitch, and I'm going to play some of that and work it through. Yeah, to be honest, actually, if you think hours spent, it's a bit like Footy Manager, isn't it? What have I spent the actual most time on at TWR? Although, to be fair, No Mercy, you'd run it close. I did kind of have my own book and going on No Mercy back in the day as well. I actually think, for me, I think when I did the 5-1, it's a difficult one to answer because I think it's probably No Mercy. But like the purist in me wants to say Virtual Pro Wrestling too, because really, like the Virtual Pro Wrestling series is actually what makes those games on the N64 so good. And when you actually play it, and maybe it's the fact that I only played it when I was older and I played it on an emulator on PC rather than actually playing it on the proper N64 back in the day. But like you realize how much of that engine, as good as it was when you were the Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, or you were, La Parka versus Psychosis or something like that in the WCW versions of the game with the engine was actually built for you to go Kabashi, or you to go Vader, or to go Masawa, or to go Stan Hansen, all those guys on that. It's fucking the way the matches go back and forth, the way like they build to a crescendo, and the way you get the near falls, all of it feels like a big time All Japan or no, whatever you want to word it, like main event heavyweight style match. Like it's built for that, and like you can make that work for the games, you can make it work for the different WCW game, but it works so perfectly with those particular wrestlers. Like if people have never played it, like get yourself an emulator and give it a go. I wish I could play it with mates. That's the only thing that's missing when you play it on PC. You can't really, but you could have some crack games with that.
They were just like, they were like after my time a bit, kind of. I don't know what year was that it came out.
You were an adult.
No Mercy. I was didn't have enough time on my hands, kind of thing. Like
98 maybe. No, 99, I think.
Yeah. I was just finishing university, like finishing university. Then at that point, the game I probably played the most would have been like the WWF Royal Rumble game on this Super Nintendo, like all the way back in the day, where they had like Brett and Perfect and Yokozuna and all that. That was the one that felt like a great game to me at the time, but probably if you slapped it on
a lot of them
and played it now, it'd be dog shit, wouldn't it?
I think that was I mean, obviously there were great games on like the old, like I was a Master System guy, but a lot of the times you'd buy those games where like the cover looked great and the box art looked great, and then you get the game out and very clearly it didn't look anything like the box art, and very clearly it was a very much simplified version of that. With those early wrestling games, it was just having the box art was enough for me. It's like, I've got this game and it's got Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan, and then the game itself wasn't really up to much. But I like Super WrestleMania on the SNES. That was
I remember that. Yeah, I played that
a lot.
There was one on the Mega Drive
called all the wrestlers do all the same moves.
There was one on the Mega Drive called Wrestle War back in the day that had a Jag Hogan on the front of the box. Can you remember that? He had like
we used to rent that.
Bandana. I loved that game at the time. Like again, I thought it was brilliant, but again, I played it now. It ain't going to be any good, is it?
We used to look. I don't think I was so young playing that I don't think we realized it was a rip off of the Death. We just thought they were like, I don't know, maybe we just thought they were other wrestlers that we didn't know about that we play as. But yeah, I love that when I was a kid. Used to get from
There was like a
back
fake
in the
Stan
day,
Hansen
kids.
on it and stuff. I think there were,
Yes. Back in the day, kids, you could rent games from your local video shop, and we'd rent that one most weekends and play it. Yeah, I'd say worst wrestling game of all time is probably Warzone for me. Oh, mate, saying that, I think the ECW games are worse, but that whole Acclaim engine fucking sucked, and it took you like you'd have to learn all the combos. It was like up, down, left, right, A, B, C, and then you do your move. Like it was just painful trying to learn it. And I think I've just got like there's part of my brain that's just like I remember like trading in all of my other games one Christmas so that I could buy it and thinking it was going to be like, because it was a WWF game, like in the peak of like end of 1997 into 1998, it was going to have all my favorite wrestlers on it, and I'd heard there was a creator wrestler, so I was going to be able to make all my own wrestlers on it. So why would they ever need another wrestling game? So literally I saved up so much, sold so many games to get it, and then I played it and I was like, all right, I will need the wrestling game because this fucking sucks. It's just like a real painful memory. I feel the same way about the remember WrestleMania, the arcade game, and In Your House, where it was basically Mortal Kombat with another skin.
Oh, the In Your House where like the bulldog's head would turn into an actual bulldog, and
yes,
yeah, oh, I hated that game.
Brett would have like a deck of cards or whatever they had, stuff like that.
Yeah, because that you mentioned that ECW one. I reckon that ECW game was probably the last wrestling console game I probably had, and like luckily I'd had my PS chipped at that point, so I was just buying games off some lad in uni for like, you know, £1 a game or something like that. So luckily I'd only invested about £1 in it. But
kept DCW in business that game. It's like you killed Prestige and you killed DCW. Didn't know this about you.
Can't believe it, but yeah, I remember that, and I was like, God, that's not even worth the £1 that I've spent on it. Like it's not even worth £1 that game. It's so bad, and I think that was it for me in wrestling console games.
There we go. But yeah, that's where, to be honest, my knowledge goes up to that. Matty could give you more of an oral history of the SmackDown games and the 2K games and that, but they were great. Yeah, Andy mentions the backyard game, Legends of Wrestling, Chris Elliott mentions as well. There's been some fucking rough ones as well if we were doing a worst 5, but maybe that could be a full 5-1. We definitely did best at one point, but I don't think we did worst. Maybe we could we do that next. And the worsties on the 5-1.
One for a pick and mix, that I think.
Yeah, we're overdue one of them. Might have a little 5-1 coming next month. Little spin on the format. Look forward to that, folks. Coming up
next month. So it's going to be October. Like it's going to be an alliteration for Matty.
Yeah, of course. There's no O's or W's, that he's going to be screwed. He won't be able to come up with anything. We'll find something. There we go. Oh, the worst ever wrestling game was The Simpsons wrestling. Chris Elliott mentions. Yeah. Bringing back memories now. I remember that game. Somebody put like it on Twitter the other day. There was a do you ever play Virtual Springfield that was on PC? Like I was enamored with it because all it literally was, you could walk around Springfield. That was it. Like you could just be Homer and walk around and go in and out of like the comic book store and go into Moe's and stuff. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I lost untold hours playing that. Like you got nothing out of it really. I just got to walk around Springfield. I think that's actually what I called it. A walk around Springfield. It was enough for me. Simpler times. Great times. What else have we got? That was kind of it, actually. Shite video game question there. Obviously, we talked Prestige. Oh, did you have any NXT nostalgia? Or something we were talking about earlier? Obviously, with NXT doing their homecoming show last night. I don't know if you saw the clip of Bobby Roode turning up backstage to literally zero pop. Like, in fairness to Bobby Roode, I think they just forgot to mic the crowd, but it really sounds like he walks into the room like and then looks up like he's getting this reaction from the crowd. Nothing, pure radio silence. I think Stitch said you couldn't have timed that comedically any better. But yeah, all the lads were back. Triple H turned up on there. They used the old music. I can't say I feel nostalgic for it, but I know Black and Gold NXT was part of your heart, mate.
Oh, like brilliant that time, like that time period. It was just it was one of the things that sort of kept you going as a wrestling fan, wasn't it? Like having those short pay-per-views, then short 5-match card pay-per-views. That there was actually like 3 good matches on there, and you'll always go back and go, yeah, it's because there was just that cycle of the next top indie people that signed and gone. There you go. You go out in front of an arena and have a 25-minute match, do your shit, forget everything that we're going to tell you in the in our gym not to do, kind of thing. It's just go out there and have fun. So yeah, it just felt like you were just watching an absolute super indie at the time, didn't it? And even to be honest, even the weekly TV, like 1 hour, like story, not the most complex storylines that you could just watch along with, not a huge time investment. Great days that. It was terrible once it sort of evolved and they tried to make it something else at the time. But yeah, I'd love to, I always say this, love to just go back and revisit that in a few more details. I think there's definitely some takeover flashbacks and things like that would be good shows for us to do.
Yeah, we put one on the back burner, didn't we? We were going to do the first takeover, and then Sophia had the great idea of doing the 4 horsewomen, and then I had to miss that one, so I was gutted to miss that show. I did want to go back and do it. So yeah, there's a joke, but there's enough there that I'd get into. And those early days of like, I don't remember when I first heard about it, but it was like maybe it was the UK fan forum, like in one of the threads, like someone kept saying it's actually quite good, this NXT show. It's a really good 1 hour TV show, and maybe I haven't got nostalgia for the later days of it, like Gargano, Ciampa, all of that stuff. Andrade, speaking of the big name that's been in the presses this week. I wasn't into any of that, but I was into like the early days when Sami Zayn was rising. I was into it when, obviously not a great name now, but like Enzo Amore was showing a bit of personality, and it was like, oh, they got like this really interesting telly show where they give these guys promo time and they package them, and like it's really interesting. And the bleeding in Pac and Sami Zayn, and obviously Kevin Owens stands up and all of that. Like it was genuinely, Claudio was getting like reps down there, wasn't he? Because they weren't using him on the main roster. Tyson Kidd, people like that. I've got nostalgia for that period. I think I'd actually, as much as I'll watch the takeovers, especially the early ones, I think I'd actually like to watch like a block of TV, like do a month 1 or a month whatever number it would be, and just go through like a few weeks of TV. I think that'd be fun.
I'd love that. And like I just even some of the stuff that wasn't like worker stuff, where there was like character stuff and things, like I'm not going to sit here and go like, oh, I loved Bo Dallas or something like that at the time, but like when he had the belt, he was just doing stuff that was just different, kind of thing. It just felt different. It felt like somebody going out there and just like testing stuff out and just trying stuff, and you sort of felt that a lot with the like a lot of the women's wrestlers as well. Like I always think back to like what Becky Lynch was like when she first was on NXT and how bad she looked and things like that. Like a ring entrance and the little sort of like little jig and things like that when she like just mad. It's such a weird time period, and just seeing people presented in all these different ways. Yeah, it'd be awesome to go back. Oh, where's a Blue Pants man? Can you remember when Blue Pants she got on a takeover, didn't she? That was like big pop moment there. That Blue Pants coming out, but it was good. You had these people who just got organically over within the within the building and things like that with the crowd, and suddenly they sort of like seemed like they had a bit more license to just run with people and try stuff, just dead experimental.
Watching an indie, wasn't it?
I love the experimental nature of it, of people just trying shit and it not working, but they tried it.
Yeah. And again, don't get me wrong, I know a lot of that TV was, stuff wouldn't happen with it. You get one good segment to show, and then there'd be 50 minutes of just shite, with like the Ascension or whatever it was, or like stuff like that, or really just stuff moving at a snail's pace. Triple H's booking now is quite similar in some ways, but like I think the simplicity of it would make for great breakdowns as far as like us looking at the week's TV and building to maybe the first takeover or the second takeover or something like that. So there you go, one for the list. If Matty gets this far in his watch, we'll add that on there.
Because he's not on.
That's true, that actually. To be fair, you know what? You're on, mate, so I think he'll watch it. Not because I'm here, but I think because you're here. I think he'll corner you on Friday night when you're on a night out in case we say anything bad about him, which we haven't done, I think, today. We've been very good. A couple of extra questions.
Never say anything bad about them.
Well, we've got on here before I let you go. I will. Ramin, footy question. Some of your favourite kits of all time. I'll throw in Legita Negros, 5-1 most handsome male wrestlers. That might have to be a full show at some point. Inspired by the impending return of Eddie Kingston. Fair enough. I'm trying to think who's a cracking looking bloke. There must be somebody. Who would I say? Hangman Cage is a good looking guy. I think I'd go with him. Current crush.
Guys, now you're talking. Ravishing Recruit.
That's the mustache, isn't it? I was going to say Pete Shawn Michaels, but I don't want to make you angry.
Brett, obviously. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Hey, I tell you what, Brett in '96 on that Benno and Hamlet, watching him come back after like 4 or 5 months off, no stress, his hair's perfect. He looks good. He looks.
I
He
tell
looks
you,
young too.
I tell you what,
like...
Brett in his jeans with his top off with salt and pepper could have turned me that
night. Ewan says Roman. Steph, of course, says Jay. Jay Uso, I think she means. No, Jay White, of course. Yeah, you got to throw him in. Throw him into. He belongs.
Jay Leno.
Favorite. He's a wrestler. That counts. Favorite kits of all time? Got any of those to throw in? Mine would all be Everton. Be the Danker kit or the NEC kits. So yeah,
probably a bit cliched stuff, really. Kind of like the Boca Juniors kit. I think going back to the classic Boca Juniors kit with the Adidas with the 3 stripes and things. I think that's a belter. Real Betis 94, 95 with the long sleeve there. That's an all-timer of a kit. Argentina, I think the one that they won the World Cup in actually I think it's absolute belter of a kit. Like they really like that. Brazil away kit 1998, the blue one with the round collar. Big fan of that. This could be a whole show, mate. I could just
you and JP could do a whole show on it.
And Matty would do an hour on away kits.
Mine would all be Everton ones. It'd be like the Chang kit. That's a big thing I've noticed. Like when I go through the market, so yeah, like it feels like every single Thai football team is just sponsored by Chang. It's like the only sponsor that's allowed, and they all look like those Everton kits from that point in the mid 2000s. I might get one at some point.
I tell you what was a fucking nice kit for you was the very first K-Jan kit. I don't know if you remember that. Like it was a really deep blue and like a nice collar kind of thing. The way it come down, it was lovely, that kit.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, that was the Rooney era. Don't think I ever owned that one. But yeah, there you go. Maybe I'll get back into them. They're not the same these days. I don't like the new one with like the waves on it where it looks stripy.
Yeah, that looks
just not right. Not my own.
Cheap. That
doesn't work. There we go.
I tell you what's a good kit. Sorry, I tell you what's just come to mind as well. The Newcastle United kits where they had the home and away kit, where they had the granddad shirt, wasn't it? And they had the Newcastle brown oval on it. And the away one was like a burgundy and blue. Kind of with the stripes belter, the home and away. Love that.
Great stuff. Well, there you go. Yeah, you and saying in the chat there on the Crusher's Armband Johnson is jean shorts with the IC belt. Yeah, throw that in there. Big Drew is a good looking fella. Chris Elliott says, "Don't say that in front of Gareth." Kits or gear could be the name of the podcast we do with this. Could be a different kind of gear though. Who knows? But there we go. And that's it really as far as the questions go, mate. Sorry, I've kept you a while there. Hope you're not getting in trouble. Stop kids all the way from skates.
I've just both. I've just had my tea dumped next to me. I think it's. I think we've had the signal to take it home, Benno.
Fair enough. You get the full Phil Brooks treatment. I'm sure this happens with him in AJ. There'll be a dog running around the living room in a second. But yeah, obviously I'll wrap this thing up in a second, mate. But I'll let you go. But yeah, anything you want to plug? Anything you want to throw out there? Obviously, Brett Show coming out next week, as I said with Matt.
Yeah, we're recording Brett Show next week, but in traditional fashion. You'll have to wait for the graphic to find out about that one. All I'll say is
just me.
Take a little trip back to the 80s as we've been doing recently with the old Ric Flair, but then taking a trip to the 90s as well. And let's just say could be a lightning show, that one.
Oh, I think I'll make that out. I'm not going to say it. I like it. All right. Exciting stuff. Look forward to seeing it, and maybe got Benno and Hamlet going as well. We're heading towards a certain period of time that might be at a certain period of time that Retro might be headed towards. Who knows? Maybe we could all collide at some point. Maybe that could be a nice little Christmas present for people. Maybe coming up. I mean, I've just said it there, haven't I? But read between the lines, folks. It's good. Anyway, I look forward to the next Retro, mate, and obviously, we'll have you on for the All Out review as well. So yeah, look forward to that too.
Nice one. Cheers, mate. Have a good one. See you soon.
See you later.
Bye.
That's what I got it. There we go, and that's GRAPPL Gareth. Yeah, I ran that long. Sorry, I forgot we were doing a live and not at a spotlight. Could have chatted all night, but cracking catch up with Gareth there. Like I say, as we've gone long, I'll keep this relatively short. The wrap up here. I wanted to go through some plans we've got coming up and everything else going on. If you did have any questions that me and Gareth didn't answer, now is your chance to throw them in. I did say earlier, obviously with me having Matty on Spotlight yesterday, That obviously we didn't plan on that. It was originally supposed to be at a JP show, but JP got pulled away, and it kind of made sense because Matty was gonna be on Weekend Show tomorrow to do a preview, obviously of WrestlePalooza coming up this weekend. But instead, Matty's going to be and he's already sent me the clip. In fact, can I bring it up here? It is already ready to go on the YouTube. So once you're done with this live, head over to the GRAPPL YouTube, and I'll be hitting publish at some point in the next 15-20 minutes or so. It's going to be the Matty Edwards prediction show, I think we're calling it. I'll be doing the equivalent for AEW as well. Let me just bring that up there, where it's a 20-minute video. We're going to trial it out. I think I talked at the end of the last one of these lives about different plans we've got for the YouTube and different things we could be doing. But yeah, there it is. There I've titled it WWE Needs to Find its Spark, which were words that came from Matty. There we go. As Matty's done a 20-odd minute predictions video for us over there on the YouTube. I think we're gonna try and make it a bit more of a regular thing. As he'll I've got the volume going on there. As he'll each month go through his thoughts on what's happening on the pay-per-view, and give some predictions. Maybe we'll even do some Fallout videos as well. I was thinking of doing that with AEW myself as well. Maybe like, obviously, I think Spotlight and the Weekend Show and this live and our more long form shows are one thing, but we don't do enough like short form 10, 15, 20 minute YouTube type content. So like, it'll be in addition to, of course, there'll still be the Weekend Show tomorrow where we'll be previewing the pay-per-views coming up this weekend, but a little extra there for you that'll be popping up on the YouTube. So I'll be hitting submit on that in a little while. Hopefully people will enjoy that. Thank you, Ewan, saying that he's gonna give it a watch himself in a little bit. We will need it. We'll need the numbers to get it going. We don't often put many videos up these days, so it will be helpful if you can all give that a click. But yeah, outside of that, as far as the rest of the week goes, like I said to Gareth, I think the plan is at the minute that we're going to be doing an all-out spotlight on Sunday. I'm not sure if JP is going to be on that or not. I know Arsenal are playing, so I'll be sorting that out with JP behind the scenes. We have a dealer's choice, obviously, on Saturday for patrons, where we'll be doing JP's dealer's choice shows. We review the wrestler. Again, I think we have to do that on Saturday with obviously the two big pay-per-views on Saturday night. I don't think anybody will be tuning in on Sunday afternoon for us to be giving our takes on the wrestler. But I think Saturday be a nice little lead into the pay-per-view, sandwich between the derby and All Out at 8 p.m. We'll find a time to do that. And then I think Sunday All Out spotlight is the current plan with myself and Gareth and potentially JP. And then Monday, me and Matty will be doing a WrestlePalooza version of Spotlight. I've actually got him penciled in for live next week, but I think we're going to do that instead and do it as a Spotlight review instead. So I think that'll work. And then maybe we'll do some short form videos for the YouTube to go along with that as well. And then the week after it's a bit confused because Matty and Gareth are away that weekend, so we're going to be doing a dealer's choice on the Monday that following week. And then we've got a couple of ideas for a 5-1. I'm thinking a 5-1 tier list show might be kicking off October on the Patreon there as well. So you got that to look forward to. Let us know your suggestions. Any say it's a common thing to see a lot of people do as far as like tier list type shows go. I was thinking it'd be different than doing your standard 5-1 where it almost feels like we've got you're only gonna say we did 5-1. I don't know, comedy wrestlers or 5-1 heels. We're all gonna have our 5, and we're not really gonna talk about anything else. I think if we do it like tier list style, it might be a little bit different in that we could do 5-1 WCW champions, and it'll be 5 tiers rather than 5 people, and we could literally have every single WCW champion, and we've got to put them in a tier. So there'll be like the number 1 tier, the number 2 tier. We'll think of names for them: a number 3 tier, a number 4 tier, and a number 5 tier, and we can have a conversation about every single one of those champions and an argument about where in the block they fit. The other idea I have for it, if people like this one, was to do a tier list on maybe wrestling Samoans over the years, so we could try and collate all of the Samoans we can think of, both in WWE and outside the WWE, and just argue with Matty about what a top tier Samoan wrestler is and what a bottom tier Samoan wrestler is. That could be an idea there. Ewan mentioned there, did we answer his question? We did actually. Sorry, we missed Billy McKenzie, obviously at really sad story. Obviously with her illness, meaning she's not going to wrestle. It looks like going forward, but obviously you wanted to get healthy more than wrestle again. So yeah, best wishes to her. Sorry, I did mean to bring it up with Gareth because I know Gareth would have was a fan of Millie McKenzie back in the day. So that's a sad one. Platt saying there on the YouTube videos, yeah, 20-minute previews for 5 matches is impressive. Yeah, I'm worried what I'm going to do when I do the AEW one. I've got about 12 matches to do. I think it's going to be in total after Dynamite tonight. So we'll see how long my video is. But I want to keep them under 20 minutes. I think that's on the long end of what we'll probably be doing. I did say that to Matty, so he's going to try next time. But it's a first time thing. It's experimental, and he'll appreciate anybody's feedback on it as well. And he will, I'm sure, take it in kind. As only Matty will. Platt saying there, yeah, the Russo argument would be worth the show. Yeah, we could. Oh yeah, Russo would be a WCW champion, wouldn't he? He'd have to be on that tier list show. That could be an idea. We could try and fit that in. I am thinking otherwise for October. Obviously, we've like I say, we'll be doing possibly the tier list show. And then outside that, I think we're going to finally do Lucha Underground. And then I'm away for a couple of weeks. So the lads have got a couple of ideas of shows that are potentially doing there'll be a time in there as well. There'll be a Halloween show coming up as well with Matty and possibly Hamflet involved in as well while I'm off. And we'll have Marty Ellis's King of the Mountain show coming up as well. But I won't scroll any further down in the documents and ruin anything coming up. But yeah, if you've got any ideas for shows for the lads to do while I'm away, I'm sure they will appreciate it as well. But there we go. Yeah, Ewan saying he's tempted to sign up to King of the Mountain. He has a few ideas. I think we're fully booked until I think Simon was asking about the next go round. I think it'll be like next April. I think by the time Simon will get another one in, I don't know what we can do. I think maybe we can double up and do a couple of King of the Mountain shows or / Queen of the Mountain shows a month to catch up. But I think we've got December we could play with as well, so maybe we could fit that in there. But yeah, they, as you can see on the screen there, we've got Platt, Sophia and Eddie shows right into March next year. So there is that. Halloween Havoc 97 review. That's one part of 97 you haven't touched. What's on Halloween Havoc 97? Trying to think. No, is that Age in the Cage? Is that Flair and Hogan? Let me know in the chat. That could be one. Won't be one a year, Platt, honestly. We'll find a way to get to him. We'll find a way to catch up. It's just the popularity of the tier, you know. It will all work out, and we'll have you on, and we'll get the shows in. King of the Mountain month, Ewan says that could be an idea. We could do that at some point. That could be a nice little catch up there. We've got as well. But yeah, like I say, if you have any ideas for shows that you're not going to sign up for King of the Mountain. If you've got any ideas you want to throw in, we will take suggestions for the regular shows in given months. Yeah, Platt was December. That's it, right? And he's like, yeah, it did ask to be moved up. There you go. So there you go. Platt asked for it. That's why he's January. It was Age in the Cage. Andy says there. Yeah, I'll throw that one in as a possible suggestion for shows coming up as well. But yeah, they're all the shows coming up as far as the Patreon goes. Got a busy time period coming up. Obviously, I've got Benno Hamflet coming out this weekend, and I'm doing True Heel Heat on Friday as well. So I'll be going to find time to fit that in as well. But we'll have plenty of content where that came from. We'll have weekend show obviously tomorrow with me and JP. Obviously, we'll be previewing All Out and WrestlePalooza. I'm actually not sure what else is going on this weekend. I need to get round to doing the notes for weekend show. Obviously, we got September to remember tonight with Dynamite and Collision. I was just seeing if there was is there anything else we're missing from this weekend. Defy have got a show. Action have got a show. Of course, there's GCW. I'll be adding that to the notes as well. Oh, Red Bros Trios Grand Prix is taking place this weekend as well. So yeah, we'll be previewing that on the weekend show. Apparently, there's a New Japan Road 2 going on. I don't think anybody's going to find time to watch that. And yeah, outside of that, AEW's tailgate instead of a Collision is taking place on Saturday. So we'll be talking all of that on weekend show as well. But yeah, there we go. That's everything coming up. And yeah, at some point I'm going to fill in find a time to watch the wrestler. I'm still not sure what I'm going to make of that one. It's obviously a film that did all kinds in the awards at the time it came out, and obviously is one that I'm certain I liked way back when. But Like Matty was saying yesterday, I don't think I've seen it much since 2008, maybe one other time. So we'll see. So yeah, get your homework in if you haven't already. I was thinking I obviously won't start it this week, but I am still planning on doing more stuff on Twitch. Stuff like this really, where it's more of a casual kind of sit back, putting together the plans for the shows, gathering news for spotlighting it and weekend show and stuff like that. I want to start doing those types of ones, and I want to do like maybe when we do have homework. If I was feeling better on Sunday, I probably would have started then. Say like a Flair show. Maybe I'll go on Twitch and watch some of the matches live on Twitch before we do the proper podcast as a bit of a preview too. As a bit of a way to sell the Patreon. So yeah, there'll be more where that came from. Ewan saying there he's going to Ignite Pro Wrestling in Bournemouth on Sunday. He'll ask JP to preview. Okay, I'll add that to the possible list. Busted versus McFly on Friday as well. I guess that's a wrestling show, yeah. It's kind of like one of our old War Games questions, isn't it? EastEnders versus Coronation Street type stuff. Could throw that in. Bournemouth is rough, Andy says there, yeah. Ewan says it's somewhere down south. I don't really know. Yeah, Ewan says it's fine. Just stick to the high street and it's all right. That's usually true of most English cities, which I'll find out in January when I'm back. And yeah, as Gareth alluded to there, we are putting some plans together as well for to answer that question about possibly a live show next year on the Wembley weekend. It's starting to look more and more like I will be back at least for a while around August, September next year. I do plan on staying out here in Asia for the next couple of years, but things are kind of working out that I think it will make sense for me to be back for All In next year, at least for a month or so. So if anybody's got any thoughts on that, any suggestions, straw poll, like obviously, I don't know how popular obviously our venue was in Harrow that we ran that last time we were at Wembley. I think for the people up north who aren't used to kind of London and the tube and stuff, it felt like it was very far from Wembley, but it was 2 stops or 3 stops on the tube to get to Harrow and come and watch the show. I think it was an easier day than it probably seemed on paper for people. We might be looking possibly at those ends of doing a live show for All In weekend next year. So maybe the Saturday, maybe the Sunday. What would be more popular? Obviously, with Red Pro running the Saturday for their show at Wembley Arena, might be an argument to do the Saturday. I personally found, if I'm just talking from a selfish point of view, like with the Copper Box with Red Pro last year, it was a lot easier weekend on us to do it the Saturday and do our live show and go to Rev Pro and have a night out and have a few drinks and stuff, and then the next day get up for All In and be refreshed and not have to build it around the live show and just kind of enjoy the day. And maybe that experience is just unique to us as the podcasters and the people on stage, but I don't know if that's shared by people, that maybe it was better to do it the day before rather than trying to squeeze it in and then get yourself down to Wembley. Maybe we'll do another. I was going to mention it to Gareth. Maybe we'll do another poll. Platt saying Saturday. Yeah, I think that's going to end up being the popular choice for a lot of people. Chris Elliott saying it wasn't too bad the location. He's got his hotel booked in Harrow. That's what gave us the idea. To be honest, I think there's a few people booking the Euro Hotel or something like that. It's like an old Premier Inn in Harrow. Ewan saying have a word with Andy Q and run it in Wembley Arena on the Saturday. I can't imagine him going along with that. But maybe there's a little room somewhere they could lend or borrow us. That was the problem though, because like if we don't run Harrow, where are we going to run? Because I think centre of London is what a lot of people did. I think that first All In year, and I'm not sure how well he did. Because we looked at venues as far as like central London, as far as like people could come, travel into Wembley later on. And then we looked at like venues around Wembley, and like I went to obviously last year the What Culture show that was down the road. I can't remember the name of the venue there. It was like a dining and banqueting suite type place that they ran, and it was fine. It was big, it was busy. They filled the place. It was very impressive how many people they got at the show. But that was it really as far as like venues go around Wembley, because it's not really the whole like Wembley setup with the shopping area and stuff like that. It's all a bit man-made, isn't it? And there just isn't the obvious places that the types of bars that would take us setting up a couple of chairs in the corner and a few microphones and running a show. Unless anybody's got any connections and can let us know and tell us. Yeah, maybe we could come the official Red Pro pre-party. Andy says here. Yeah, maybe that could work. But we'd also, I think, the other thing with like a live show, I'd like to think of some ideas as well for it. Obviously, the first year was special just because it was the first time we've ever got to do such a thing properly. At least, obviously, we'd done, the split show with Martin and the show in Leeds, but like doing like something a bit more kind of grapple centric. That was our first year, and obviously we had Poison Rana lads with us, so that was special in its own regards. Then the second year, obviously, Ospreay running in made that special. No matter what we did, no matter what we said, that made that a memorable show. Maybe we need to put our thinking caps on as to what could make it worthwhile people's time to come and spend one of their Wembley afternoons with us. You've been saying he's going Wembley on Friday. And yeah, it's limited food places and bars down that Wembley way. It is, yeah. And it's quite rough near Wembley Central and the other tube stops as well. So, don't know. Andy says it's hard to top Ospreay coming on stage. I know. Maybe we could arrange him to be a guest. I'm not pitching it, honestly. Maybe we could get a guest or something. We could make it special. Or maybe people would just prefer to meet us for a pint. That's also an option. We could all just have some kind of meetup. But any suggestions taken? Let us know in the Discord or the Patreon if you've got anything or any venues you could give us a tip on as well. But there we go. That's possibly coming up as well. But really, yeah, that's pretty much it as far as stuff to talk about today. Unless anyone's got any more questions, I will wrap it up here. As I mentioned earlier, obviously on the Patreon this weekend, we will have the wrestler JP's dealer's choice. We'll also have the real reveal for my dealer's choice, which I still haven't settled on. That's another one. If you do have any suggestions, you're thinking, Benno, you should put the lads through this. This would be a very Benno pilled show. Let me know. Send me a DM. Put it in the Discord. But I'll have to think of something by Saturday or settle on something for my show coming up, and that will obviously wrap up Dealer's Choice month. And like I say, Sunday for the All Out review, Monday most likely for the WrestlePalooza review. And yeah, like I say, keep an eye on YouTube. I'll be hitting submit right now on Matty's preview video. Give that a watch. Give my preview video for All Out a watch when you see it out there. And yeah, outside of that, thank you folks for tuning in live. Subscribe to me on Twitch. I might do more little streams like this. And yeah, you will catch us on all those shows, on the Patreon, on the YouTube, and everywhere else. But that's it for me. I'll let you go. And have a great night, everyone. See you later.